the shelf. It's okay if you don't know what's best. Just work on yourself. Don't wanna fall down, don't wanna face out the way you got along. You go and see doubt. Well, this I found, and this I know. I've been shut down and played for fool. Wicked game you play and suffer the people in every display. Won't care for their feelings, won't care for their pain, only care for the play. What you bring in today if no one would take a piece now? Cause you were too hard to get up on a sound, knocking you off. What will you find now? I ain't trying to bring you down, I'm just trying to bring my sound. Don't wanna fall down, don't wanna face out the way you got along. You go and see doubt, and this I found, and this I know. I've been shut down and played for fool. I manipulate you, can't say that it's true. Reach for yourself and yourself will find you. Bless this and take this, we'll praise this beside the moon.
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Live at Woodwork Audio. Today we are joined by none other than Wavy.
Yo.
Also known as Johnny 2 Wavy. You guys still go by that or no?
Nah, that's me.
Yeah.
Johnny
Yeah.
Wavy. It's interestingly enough, it was at the Nick 2 show, which is what actually birthed this band. Was he gave me that opening slot at Downtown Music Hall. And that Wednesday, Jeremy happened to pop up at the jam session. I was like, really needing a drummer, and it was like,
hell yeah!
It was like immediately after the first song, I was like, "Do you want to play a gig on Friday?" And
got me.
Congrats, you hired. Hell yeah! Do you guys want to go around and introduce yourselves, starting from? I guess we'll start with Johnny.
Sure. So I'm Johnny 2 Wavy.
I'm Joe. I play the bass.
Yeah, Johnny over there is a guitar player. My name's Josh. I play the keys.
What's up, guys? I'm Jeremy, and I'm the drummer.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
And this is the casting couch. Okay, so anyways.
How would y'all describe the band? Like, what
genre y'all are.
We
what
go
y'all-
with the term alt rock jam band just because we encompass a lot of different kinds of genres of rock and roll, and we don't really like to be too bogged down. And we all
get
have
that.
just such varying influences and stuff, including rock and roll and jam and all out there too.
Post-hardcore, emo,
Yeah.
punk,
Jazz,
metal,
hip-hop.
Hip
jazz.
hop, yeah.
I don't feel like I don't think that people want a band to just stick in a corner most of the time. I think that if people like us, they'll like what we do. And so I think if we start from a place where we do whatever we want, then we won't get boxed in. So
Absolutely.
great way to
I
look
agree
at
with
it.
that. I remember when I was younger. I remember when Under Oath, they were one of my favorite bands when I was younger. When they
Hell yeah.
when they first started like shifting sound, I remember being upset like they're not Under Oath anymore. But like now that I'm older and I'm playing music, I'm like
You have more
playing the same
appreciation.
shit every time. It like is boring.
yeah, why would you make the same album over and over again?
Yeah. Another band, Red.
Oh yeah.
I listened to them a lot. I grew up in the church.
Me too.
And I listened to them a lot when I was younger, and I hadn't listened to them in years. And I was like, oh, they put out a new record. Started playing it, and I'm like, I heard this like 10 years ago. It's like the same thing. I was like, okay. I don't like that so much. I like the consistency when I was younger, but now I'm like, it's boring.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, it's kind of been the draw. I mean, that first night, I had gotten a playlist from Johnny, some of his original songs. Cram learned them and got up there. Very alternative, but dude's a great songwriter. But it was when we all got together and started playing that I was like really drawn to how open it was, and it would just go wherever it was gonna go, and that kind of became like the basis of what we were doing. It's like
Right, and that
we're not
was my
putting any
goal.
limits on it. We just kind of are just letting everyone do what they're gonna do and bring their own element to it, and it just took us interesting places. So that was kind of
I think that's where like the name comes in for me a lot of times, is like this wavy thing that we're riding on, this thing that comes up and down, that is sort of, it's not really something we control. It's more something that we have to like flow with ourselves.
Yeah.
And when it's really coming, like, and we're really clicking, we're not thinking about it, but I'll look over at Jeremy and we're all of a sudden synced up and playing the same hits somehow, and Joe's pulling from what Johnny's doing and I'm pulling from what Joe's doing, and it just it has its own life to it.
feels organic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
completely. And that was the goal from the start. Is like, because I've done so many bands where it's like, it's usually just like one person or two people that are really like
Locked in.
doing
Yeah.
everything. Like especially when it comes to like the writing process and then all of the business and all the other things in between. And I was like, I just didn't want to do that again. I'd been doing the solo thing for so long because of that. Because I didn't want to have to deal with all that. And then I was like, this band, I really wanted it to be something where it was like everybody was coming together and like we're bringing everything together and adding our own thing to it, so it doesn't feel like we're just playing other people's songs. It feels like we're playing our songs.
So you were saying you had some songs and then you kind of brought them in, so like it kind of started as you and then it turned into a group.
Yeah,
basically,
Big time.
Yeah.
So I guess the first couple of songs y'all have, like it was you playing and then you just kind of like, here's the song I wrote, and then how did you feel about like giving the reins up to like let them do their thing? I mean, was it just like a guitar and vocals, and then you added them to it?
So I had another bass player and a guitar player that started at the time, and then Yoshi came in actually like 2 weeks after that show with Nick too, and it was always intentional in my opinion to be able to kind of pass that around, because I have a really good ear for musical like harmonies, vocal harmonies, and that's something I love to be able to do and bounce around with a lot. And just as well as just a lot of jams. There's always just a lot of jams, and from those jams new things come. Other times it's there for the ether, and just living in that space. It was really just all about us being able to come together and just be able to jam on anything, and it wouldn't necessarily have been anything at all. It was just something all spur in the moment.
Yeah,
that's when I was like, I knew when we finally got this formation together, that it was like this is where
I want to do something with
it needed
this.
to be.
Yeah.
I get you.
Nice.
Yeah, it was.
That's
super,
always a good feeling. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, it was super interesting because Johnny just hit me up out of the blue. Like I was at work one day and he was like, "Hey, man." So because we had jammed in the past, you know, and I know them, you know, just as cohesive friends. They were just around. We were just there. But he gave me a call and he was like, "Hey, man, I need a bass player," and I was like, "All right," you know. So I came in, played a little session with them, and it was just natural, you know. No basis of structure. It was just natural. It just came out. You know, we were just there. They showed me their songs, picked them up on the spot. Man, it was fun. You know?
We call that chemistry right there.
It was magic. When we first got Joe in, it was a missing piece that's taken us to new heights, that Joe has said that has taken him to new heights, and I think we all really knew it as soon as we had Joe. There wasn't really much question about it. But like I think, you know, the band is called Wavy, and it did come from Johnny's name. I think that's appropriate because we did kind of find ourselves floating around Johnny's orbit. But you know, we were all kind of in that same place where, you know, we had played music for years and years, and there was a lot of people around that, you know, were making music, but maybe they didn't have a lot of ambition, or, you know, like they just kind of want to do their thing and move on. But like all of us were like, no, we want to be rock stars. Like I want to push this as far as it goes. Like wherever this thing goes, like I'm down for it. And like we're old enough to not want to mess around, you know, being like amateurs about it. So it just worked out.
So you're not playing shows for exposure?
No,
that's what's gonna get you somewhere, man. You gotta play for the exposure.
Oh
shit!
We could show up with all our equipment and say, "Hey, you know, let us play a couple songs." But it's just easier to have something to.
I mean, it's all about
show
the vibe. Ultimately, I mean, we're all very intense people, so it's just like the vibe will get intense, that's. And, you know, sometimes the vibe needs to chill out, and we it's just all about riding that wave, man.
Absolutely.
Just like you're surfing on that wave, whichever wave you're getting thrown at that time.
Yeah, man.
You better try to do your best to do it in style, or else you're going to get sucked in.
Yeah.
You know?
I do want to say that I think that's the highest any band has actually spoken about their bass player so far.
Well, this dude rules.
Sweet.
So have you been
A+.
surfing?
This is the resident surfer.
Not in a while.
Yeah, we needed actually a surfer so we could call ourselves Wavy.
The actual
So
description.
all the ocean
Fits a little
metaphors
better.
are actually like it's not stolen valor or something.
We're not a bunch of kooks, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I mean, yeah, speak for yourself. No, but you know,
with a C.
personally, both you know, me and Johnny have been writing music for a long time, and I have never been able to accomplish what I want to do, like full vision rock band by myself. And like giving my songs over to these guys has been both this like very interesting like growth experience, but also just the best thing for these songs because they don't need to be mine. They can be ours. And like, dude, like this guy I wrote this like waltz kind of like moody waltz thing. And he was like, hey, how about at the end of it, it could be this crazy, like loud pop punk like anthem. And I was like, all right. And it sounds incredible. So, and I wouldn't ever just decided to do that. So, you know, for what it's worth, I think Johnny has a similar experience that, you know, it's sometimes hard for your babies and you're like, oh, you know, you're playing this thing all how I wouldn't do it. But that's the beauty of a band.
It's honestly one of the big things for me is because like I produce as well and I've been producing for a very long time. So it's like bringing songs that I produce, I can't ever replicate that with the band. The band has to be its own thing. Right. Drummer's got to play his own part, how he's feeling. Bassist got to play his own part. Keyboardist got to play his own part, where he's actually like, you know, taking those reins, you know, and just like everybody getting in on that vibe.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. There's a balance to that for me too, because there's all these other kinds of musical things that I love being able to approach and do, but like nothing has the just electric. Raw power feeling as like the band when we're all synced together.
Absolutely.
And we just hit some crazy high note where we just build up into some epic ass like arpeggiated halftime like just
soaring.
Yeah, that really is what it is. It was at one of these shows that we were doing at over at the Sounding after the Friday sets that they do in the summer, where we had attracted like it was probably a couple hundred people.
I think it was at least 100
and
people, 150
hell
maybe.
yeah.
and like we were playing one of Yoshi's songs. I can remember the moment.
Yeah.
I remember just jumping around in like 180 circles, like just feeling that blissfulness. We got a Zoom recording of it, and we were listening back to it, like all of us, and like I'd just thrown it through some like ozone a little bit to try to, level it up a bit, and it just brought me to tears. I was just like,
Hell yeah.
when we hit that moment, I just like relived that whole feeling again. I was just like,
Yeah, dude. That's the shit.
Yeah, when
That's
our
the
own
shit.
music is giving us goosebumps, like on Listen Back, it's like we'll get done with playing something and just look around and be like, "Fuck, guys, what was that?"
That's been the most that's the most interesting thing for me, and that's what I think the magic is that I don't feel like I'm in a box at all. It's bring your element to it and see what this thing turns into. It's not so much, oh, these are my songs, or Josh has his songs. It's like, I want it done this particular way. There's none of that.
We're not
it's
confined
like
by that. No.
yeah, so there's a lot of room to explore, and that's what keeps it interesting and fun and worth doing.
yeah.
So I do want to ask you a question. We've had bands on, and I've met bands in the past that like the guitar player writes the majority of the songs, and they like program out this drum part, and the drummer's just trying to replicate that part. I'm sure you've probably dealt with that as well, playing drums for as
Yeah.
long as you have.
Well,
Maybe not as long as you think.
I feel like any drummer at all.
This is his first band he's been a drummer in.
Okay, word.
Oh, sick.
So then this
Officially.
question probably doesn't really apply.
I think it's
I was just gonna
This
ask, like, how
dude's-
does it feel to have that freedom to do what you want?
good. It
I
feels
mean, I know
great.
you just said that, but
It
like,
feels phenomenal, and I think really a lot of it comes from the fact that this is the first full band that I've played drums in. I've played drums through the years here and there, but I was a strings guy. Like I love guitar and play bass in a band for 8 years, and I'm able to bring I kind of bring the melodic aspect to my drumming, so it's I don't know, it's easy to follow
I got you.
what's going on, and
Man, the syncopation and shit that you do though is just like
This feels
It's because he's got a really
We're
good
just like
ear.
this I'm just like, how has someone else not seen this yet in this band? I'm just
Right.
like,
Well, we got him.
What
it
the hell
it just
is
comes
going
from
on,
not knowing what the hell I'm doing on the kit and just bringing the
No, see,
letting
that's awesome,
the
man.
natural
Yeah.
thing just happen.
That's
And
Sometimes
then
there's some freedom in that.
Yeah, just
Exactly.
own it. If it's yours, just own it,
Yeah.
and people will buy into it.
That's been my
Like,
approach with all things music. Like I don't know theory. I'm self-taught. I can find my way around, but I just like making sounds that appeal to me.
I got you.
And finding a chord that is different and weird, and then just building off of that. And
Absolutely.
I applied that same kind of concept to drums. It's like I'm learning a little bit at a time, but I'd rather just let what's going to happen, and then build on,
I get that.
I guess, my own technique or style.
feel
So
that.
Now, how about for you? You came in. You were the last one in.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a bass player as well. I've played in bands, and usually you're just following what the guitar player does. I feel like this is a little bit more freeing for all of y'all. You're just all kind of doing your thing. How has it been different for you coming in when they already had some stuff?
Well, from coming from like a jazz background, it was almost like it was natural because jazz music, it's pretty free flow for the most part. A lot of the time you're just dealt changes
Yeah.
and you're making up a walk, you're making up a line for that, So I mean, implicating that into the music that they already had wasn't super hard, wasn't super
Okay.
difficult, and I enjoy it because like there's no basis of what I need to play. I almost have my own melody pretty much, and it's cool because it adds a lot of spice, to the actual music itself.
I get that.
So it's very exciting and it's very different. It's probably the most different band I've ever played with before,
Yeah, absolutely.
especially in the
Yeah.
sense when it comes to playing what I want to
Yeah.
play. I don't have to, there's not no simple structure
Yeah.
to it, which is cool. You know,
full,
it's different.
full freedom. We give each other nudges sometimes,
You
and
know.
Sure.
our own thoughts and ideas.
Maybe
but
not that,
everyone's-
or we could try something else, or whatever.
Absolutely,
but I think
yeah.
most of the time, I love what these guys are bringing to the table. And when they're having fun and I'm having fun, I think that it shows, and then the
Absolutely.
crowd can have fun. And so we don't feel like we're going out there doing our job. Like, we feel like we're going out there playing our music that we love, and that's like a whole different thing. So
Yeah, and I think that everybody is a multi-instrumentalist in the band too definitely like helps a lot with like how we play our instruments, because we will kind of like
Because you
almost
understand the other instruments as well.
exactly.
Yeah.
and we can communicate with each other. We know a little bit about what each thing can do, and so it's easier to talk to each other.
Absolutely.
That, and then it's also the spontaneity in the moment where we can just kind of like play things at each other in a way that like we take it up, and we're able to like bring in new themes and like go on new kinds of tangents and stuff.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like a yes and thing.
Yeah.
It's like we try not to say no, like in the jam. Like, I'm not like over here arguing. Like, if Johnny's like pulling it this one way, I'm not like, nah, this way. Instead,
Right.
I try to say, okay, yes, I'm with you, and then also, what about this?
Yeah.
And so in that way, you also steer, but you steer instead of like taking the reins. You're just like a part of the process.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
In the
Moving
studio.
as one entity, you know.
Yeah. While we're when I'm working with bands, I have a role. I picked it up from some engineer that I saw a video on. I think he called it like the 7-minute rule. That was any idea. It only takes 7 minutes to explore any idea. And that's like
Interesting.
when I have
Yeah,
bands
yeah.
in and they're like, what if we did this? And they're like, no, I think we should do that. I'm like, let's do both and
See what we
See
think.
which
is
one you like,
see
'cause
sounds the
sometimes, like,
best. Yeah.
because I could have an idea and James could have another idea, and then we'll try both of them, and then sometimes like I'll be like, that idea was better. Let's do that one, or then we figure out a way to come. But yeah, like the 7-minute rule, just like being willing to like try it all out,
Yes,
Absolutely.
Go for it. It's
What's
worth
the worst
trying.
that could happen?
Yeah.
right? Like we waste 7 minutes, didn't like it.
There it
Okay,
is, right?
move on.
Yeah, and you can make whatever music you want. That may sound like very simple, but it's kind of been a thing, a mantra of mine. Is like, it's too easy to start thinking far too much about how people are going to receive what you do, about like whether it should be this or whether you shouldn't go this far or whatever it is. It's like, if just try it, and
Absolutely.
if it doesn't work, then it doesn't. But if you own what it is you do, I really do think just about anything in music that, and this is a thing we talk about a lot, that sounds good, because I think a lot of people can go way too far out and make music that doesn't sound good, and then they look at you and they're like, don't you enjoy this? It is very intellectually stimulating. And it's like, I don't, that's not what I get out of music most of the time. I like to groove. I like to feel something, like an emotion or whatever. And, we talk about this all the time. It's like, I don't care what you play if it sounds good. And the people out there don't care either.
Absolutely.
That's true.
I know one of the things me and James have joked about a lot when we write new songs is like, are you gonna be cool playing this song every night for the next 20 years?
Yeah.
Like with us, with Dead Allies, the start of it has always been like I want to enjoy our songs, so like I'm just gonna write stuff that we like.
Yeah.
And like I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna play it like I like it. I'm not gonna. I don't want to box ourselves into like this is what people want to hear. Like if we make a bunch of music and nobody likes it, cool. I do.
Yeah.
I had fun doing
That's
it.
all that matters.
Yeah.
That's all
If
that
I don't
matters.
enjoy
That's
it,
number one for sure.
Why is anyone else gonna enjoy it?
Exactly. No, absolutely.
Oh, that was you on the drums in there? What you showed me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, that was him. That was him.
Yeah. No, I mean,
No.
you can like, focus on, trying to make music that has been, focus tested, that has been A/B tested, that, you can look at what's, hot right now, what will go viral, like what kind of words are being searched, all this kind of stuff. And you can try to plug into that. People
Absolutely.
do, and it's like, I wouldn't have gotten into this thing if that was what I wanted to do.
Absolutely.
For me, like we get together and I look at these guys and we make a sound that to my ears doesn't sound like any other band. And that is cool. And I have a blast doing it every time. So
Yeah, I mean that was really it for me. Is sticking with this was forcing myself out of my comfort zone and to just to be able to let go a little bit.
Yeah.
And not be so, I'm still self-critical. We all are, but to a degree. But working on it through this.
Absolutely.
This is kind of the
only way to
medium.
get better, man.
Yeah, there's a balance with that, with the self-criticism I've found, especially with everything I've done musically, like that, like you need to have like a little bit of it in order to keep you dedicated, to push you further, but you need to have that control of before it becomes self-hate and self-doubt.
You gotta have
And
compassion for yourself too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like it's a practice for all of that.
It's a balance,
Yeah.
bro.
It's like catching yourself once you see yourself peeking over that edge in a way
Yeah.
to keep on building, as if like you're building a ladder as you're climbing up to the top of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For me, it's like I just hide behind the confidence of it. I don't necessarily have to have the best self-esteem. At least I know that I'm confident in what I'm doing.
Yeah,
so it actually
confidence.
gets
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 It all happens simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I
That's
mean,
true.
kind of going off of that, with the latest album we just dropped the beginning of March, there was a song on there that we were very hesitant about, a song called Someone. It was a little experimental for us. It was different, and there was a bunch of times while we were working on it, they're like, maybe we should just take it off. Maybe we shouldn't put it out. And it's widely popular. People are
Heck yeah.
widely liking it, and we're just like, oh, all right.
Exactly.
It's like one of the top
Like-
3 people keep mentioning. I'm
Yeah,
like,
like
that
people,
one?
I'm like,
You guys
yeah,
like
what do you
that
think of the
one?
album? They're like, Someone, that was great. I'm like, really?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're
you
like,
take a
what, you don't
shot.
like it? And I'm like, no, I do.
I
just
made it. Yeah.
I'm surprised. Like, and sometimes like that kind of just goes back to the doing what you want and then seeing what people latch onto.
But also taking risks.
Yeah, absolutely.
'cause-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that was something that like the album I dropped a few years ago. It's like very formulaic, very much like alternative rock meets like hip hop and a pop type of
Interesting.
aesthetic and stuff. Like I come from Atlanta. I grew up in Atlanta, and like trap drums or big banging 808s and subby shit. Like I very much enjoyed that, but I also enjoyed rocking out. But I wasn't really like taking risks with that stuff. Like I'm in some ways, maybe some sonic ways, I was taking some risks, but it was super formulaic, and it's just like.
Right.
I'll still sometimes make beats and stuff like that for different artists and such, and I've done a lot of production in that regard, but it's nowhere near as fun, man.
It's a different process entirely.
It completely is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Even as a drummer, there's like I use a little drum pad that he's got, like a finger pad. And as much as I can get away with on that, it's still so hard to like really experiment with.
Yeah.
It just feels
ideas.
unnatural, man.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
something about having that kid under you and you can play,
Absolutely.
man.
it's just second nature, I guess.
Absolutely.
And for
Yeah.
us, like live music is just this thing that it feels like it saves us from maybe doing something else with our time, and we get to do something quite incredible. And I think like what we get to do is give people a moment that is unique, that is their moment, that is a point in time that they can look back at, a memory, like a great night, a great thing. And to us and to me, you can't really accomplish that with like bottled music. You can't really do that with press play on this track and whatever. That's like a different thing. And I know people love all this kind of stuff. And I also like just getting turned up sometimes, some DJ or something but there's a whole different process going on, like what we're talking about, where we're listening to each other, we're making something new, and the audience is a part of that. We feel their energy. They're giving to us every time they scream. I swear it fills me with like I feel like I'm about to go Super Saiyan. I'm like,
Hell yeah.
I'm like, let's go. Like I love it. I love it. People scream like yes, and I'm like yes, here we are. And it is like that assertion that we're on the right path. And then for us it's like, oh, full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. That's how it felt with, we have a song called POS. And didn't really, we kind of knew it would
It was
be,
a joke.
Yeah, the main hook is you're a piece of shit. So
Yeah.
we knew it would like grab attention.
That's what
Sure,
Sam
sure,
laid
sure.
on
But
me
yeah,
last
everyone started singing it in the venue, and we were like, "Fuck yeah, okay."
Yeah,
all right,
yeah,
I
It
get
was
into that.
it was
Catchy.
the first song I wrote that people sang back to us.
Hell yeah.
And the chorus is "You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. I think you should eat shit because you look like shit."
See, that's fun.
And it's fun, and taught everybody it, and then like the first time we played it, like everybody was singing it back. I
Super
stopped
punk.
singing, and they're singing
it.
it to us, and like I'm like almost in tears because I'm so emotional at this situation. And then I thought about what they're actually singing, and I was like, this is a ridiculous situation.
Amen. That's what I'm saying. Music rules. Like
Absolutely.
There is something
Did
magic.
it stop?
Pause.
Did we die?
Camera's turned off on us.
What? Wasn't it recording?
It just died.
It stopped somewhere in there.
Well, it says it's recording.
It was
Powering
beep,
off.
beep, beep, and then it stopped.
Well, the audio's still going. That's for sure.
Technical difficulties.
Technical
Sam's
difficulties.
good. Sam's good mixer / editor. So
Big time. Hey, he'll work it in there. Right?
We'll figure
It's
something out.
getting too hot.
It's getting too hot. Interesting.
Oh, no,
It's probably this case. I don't know if it even is. This thing is burning the fuck up, though.
Weird. Unplug it, yeah. It might be because it was plugged in.
You gonna take 5?
we'll find a fan.
Stick it in your freezer for a minute.
Is it not record? Will it not record now? Is this too
Skip.
hot?
It
Bag of
said
ice.
it stopped because of that. I like how I'm still talking to them. Okay, studio audience.
And now we're back.
Now we're back.
I think.
We'll see how this goes.
We'll see.
So, anyways,
Just like with a live show, it's like always like wrestling with your equipment.
Absolutely.
You know, I think that's we were mentioning before we got on mic here, like about, you know, helping people, like new people in the scene instead of trying to compete with them. And like I think one of those biggest things that we've learned, and we talk about this all the time, is it's just about putting out fires like live. It's like about getting out there. You don't know what's gonna go wrong.
100%.
It's yeah. We might have to stop.
Yeah, just like the camera. You never know what's going to go wrong.
Let's never know.
It's just one of those things.
We'll
do
just
the
throw a
rest.
picture up.
We'll do
It's
this.
fine if you want to do that. I can
second half?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
I
seen
can
that a lot.
continue what I was saying.
Yeah.
And like, I really do think that you know, if you don't, it's all about having the flexibility to just roll with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you break a string. Sometimes an amp pops.
More than
Sometimes
sometimes.
you know there's a short on any number of cables. You know, sometimes it's just unknown problem that you just jiggle a bunch of stuff until it just works.
Yeah.
And all of those things are just something you learn on the go.
And that's the shit you can't practice.
No.
And no matter how much you do, it doesn't ever go the way you planned for it to go.
It never does.
And for some
you know?
reason, it always goes way more wrong in a venue
Oh my
than
God,
at
yes.
home. You're like, I got this. We sound great. Everything is fine. And then you're at the venue, and it's just like every single thing goes wrong.
Like, it could not have gone worse.
Yeah, it's like you have a base setup for everything. You got everything like normal at the house. Then you bring it to whatever venue you're playing at. And you're like,
my
where the
Lord.
fuck does this shit go? Like,
Yeah.
And then it's just
Dude.
about Frankensteining your system with theirs.
Yep. I
Yeah.
played a gig last night with reluctantly an electric kit, and
oh Lord.
after the first song, the whole kit just fell apart.
collapsed on you.
And I was like, this would never happen with an acoustic
Like the
kit.
joints just fell.
Just saying.
Just fell apart. Like
Yeah, literally just fucking fell
It's
right
all
over
one
it.
piece. So just
And it was so stupid.
Like, I was about to say, like that bridge.
Like what do you do? What do you do? Like oh yeah, I meant to do that. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
I don't know. I heard that nobody actually died. I heard that they found the
they
people
found the
that were
7.
missing. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh,
For what?
damn. Okay.
Yeah, about that bridge. I hope I'm not
hope
speaking
so,
misinformation,
man.
but I just read that it was actually miscommunication.
We'll fact check you and
Yeah.
just cut it
I mean,
out.
if you
Yeah.
watch the video,
That part.
Or you could just make it look like a fool. It's fine.
13 people ended up dead.
It didn't look like there were cars on
Yeah,
that
no, they-
bridge.
they-
Like, it
what
looked
I
like
heard
there
is
were
they
some
closed
there
it
that
down.
was
They were
supposed to
able to
cross.
close
it
it
was
down.
mostly workers,
Yeah.
right?
It was mostly construction workers
Yeah.
that were on there.
And they were
And-
just like booting it. Like you
Yeah,
could see like
and
the
they
videos
were-
of the little
yeah,
truck.
But either way, I definitely think that like I wouldn't know all of that about rolling with the punches if it weren't for just playing live.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
There is no way to prepare yourself except to say stuff will go wrong. The
Right.
show has to go on. That's where
Right.
that term comes from. Is because when you're alive. You're alive. You can't just stop, and you can't be like, "Hey, everybody, go hold on one second." I mean, you can, but
Right.
that's awful. Like,
Right.
nobody wants it. We saw a Dopapod not that long ago. They rock. We saw them at Vinyl, and they had a big issue with the kick drum, like right at the beginning, and
Right
they
from
just
get.
jammed for like 5 minutes while the other dudes worked, and like without missing a beat. As soon as the bass drum kicked in, they were like, and here's the main hook, and they just went right into it. And I
Hell
know
yeah.
we were all very impressed by that, and I know it's like something maybe other people didn't even realize what was going on.
Yeah, dude.
But we did. We were like, oh no, tech issue.
Total
It's all
professionals
about,
it.
it's all about the recovery, and the
Yeah.
only time I ever want to brag about my musical abilities is when like
You recover.
a cymbal starts falling over and I fix it while holding the beat. I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys see that shit? Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean,
I'm
I
out
will
here fighting a
say,
war.
For real.
I can watch a band play like a perfect set, and I'm like, yeah, that was good. But like, if I watch a band play a set, and then like I see something go wrong, and I see them recover, like I'm like, that was a
that's
sick
more
recovery.
No,
impressive.
you're
Yeah.
just with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
It's like a wrestling thing. It's like
Absolutely.
they're down and then
Wrestling
they're
with
up.
the unknown.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, you want the guy to win, and so like when you see them like in the trenches fighting off, you know, shorting
For their
wires and all this stuff, and then they get through it and they just jam into that next chord or whatever
Yeah.
it is. It's like, yes, here
That-
we go.
And you know
Much
what? In a
cooler.
way, I don't
Yeah.
know if the audiences ever really think about it, but for me, it kind of makes me appreciate more what the band is doing and the work that they've done to get
Yeah.
there. Because then you see it going wrong, and then they get into a song where they're actually grooving, and you're like, it's
Yeah.
worth all the
Damn,
effort.
okay.
Yeah,
And it takes that teamwork, really. Like
Yeah.
from what I see, it's like if you got something going wrong, but you know your boys are fucking holding you down, and it's that vibe is still going.
Oh, yeah.
You're able to just recover in the best way that you can at the moment. Sometimes you break a string, everything goes out of tune.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
100%.
You know, you can try to like instantly try to like change that and stuff, but if you got like all the other boys like holding it down and knowing how to keep it going while that situation's
Oh, yeah.
happening, that boosts your confidence in the situation too, because then
Absolutely.
you can just
And that's a
ease
great
back
feeling
into
when they keep going. They just know to keep it going, and then everything
yeah.
comes. It's like, God damn it, love you guys.
Exactly. We always hold
True
each other
synergy.
up like that. You know,
100%.
if we ever need to. And I think Johnny plays like a maniac, so he breaks a lot of strings.
Hell
That's
yeah.
fair.
I do break a lot of strings.
That is true. Yep.
It's kind of his thing.
Well, this is the first podcast we've done where we didn't do the music first.
Yeah.
So I don't fully know what to expect yet.
No.
But tell us about the first song y'all are gonna do. What is the
Brave.
name of it?
Okay,
Are
I'll
we gonna
describe
do
it as-
Doubt or Gotta Do Brave? Gotta Be
Whichever
Brave?
one. Which one are you gonna do first? Doubt, probably, or wait, mine.
That's a good warm up.
That's
I
a
think
good
Doubt's a
warm-up.
good. I was
Yeah.
just
So
thinking
why
about
don't you
Doubt,
describe Doubt then,
yeah.
or just describe the style of the song?
I
don't
mean,
know.
yeah. It's an interesting. So it's like dealing with the situation where someone is trying to manipulate the truth about you towards other people, whilst also just always just trying to put doubt into other people about other people behind their backs constantly, and type of thing. And you know, just a certain situation pops off where you get taken for a fool, and they try to like gaslight you or whatever, and you just have to learn how to like separate yourself in that situation from that person in a proper way. You can't
Gracefully.
gracefully, exactly. And trying to wish the best for them, and not try to like tear them down or what they're trying to do in any way, but just, you know, let them hopefully be able to take from a situation and learn how to be better, hopefully.
Growing
But-
above and beyond the drama.
Yeah. So that, I mean, like lyrically, that's basically what it's about. It was a really funny situation because like my power had just gone out for like a couple hours,
yeah.
and then that song, the guitar lick, just comes to me, and like I get some of that song down, and literally as I'm listening back to the voice memo on my phone. Which, as a songwriter, voice memos on your phone
Absolutely.
are your
All the
best
time.
friend.
I have so many.
All the time.
Because 90% of the time, you're going to forget that idea. It's just going to happen.
1000%.
And
Noted.
literally during that first listen, my power comes back on, and I'm just like,
Light bulb.
you know.
Here we
And
go.
then bring it to the band. It's a very interesting styled song. Like it's not really something I've ever made before that I can describe, like the way it sounds, and it's like I couldn't have done that on my own, and I'm like super thankful for that. And it's, I don't even know how to describe it musically.
It's
to
a
be
rock
honest.
song. It's an alt rock song.
But it's got a lot of groove to it.
Yeah.
Like it's like got an interesting like funky, but
almost like a swing to it.
Yeah, like
Almost.
it's kind of hard to describe.
I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah.
It leans,
In the
it leans
podcast-
more towards alternative, and
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
one that we don't jam so much on. I mean, we'll
little bit.
stick a good section in the middle there when we play it live, but
Yeah, buddy.
it comes from kind of more Johnny's alternative
I got you.
kind of side.
Yeah, yeah. Musically, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Musically, it definitely comes from him.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Like
End
people
quote.
will be like, you sound a lot like this band and that band and that band, and I'm like, I have no idea who you're talking about.
I mean, so how do y'all feel when people come up and they're like, "Man, you sounded just like this band"? I know some people get like really upset, like we're our own
I'm
thing.
flattered, bro.
Yeah,
I'm
usually-
flattered.
No,
I
yeah.
love it.
It's
I think
my
it's
favorite
great.
thing.
It's
Yeah.
usually
It-
when people really like that band, and
Exactly.
they're like, "You sound like
Yeah.
this band I love." I'm like, "That rocks."
But that
Hell
hasn't
yeah.
happened yet, at least to me,
yeah.
Fair enough.
with this one. So that's
A lot of people tell me
Well-
I get this remark from people. They're like, "What was that?" I'm like, "That's a great answer. I like that one."
Have you guys ever gotten the
In a nice
actually
tone.
good comment?
Oh yeah, that's my favorite.
Like, oh, you're actually good.
Yes.
Like, yeah,
thank
I'm sorry, bitch. Did you down me this whole time?
Yeah, well,
Right?
there's so many kind of like, passable acts, and I'm not going to ever speak anyone's name when I say that, but there's like so many passable acts in every little town, this one included. And like, people have seen stuff that is mediocre, and
Yep.
and they expect that. And then they see, like, I know this from the reaction we get. People are like, "Wait, what? Like,
Yep.
what's
Yeah.
happening here? There's like a real band in this
Expect
place."
the unexpected, sir. Like-
That's always a cool feeling too. Just
Yeah.
like,
That's playing together, not playing at each other. Like
Absolutely.
everybody has to find their way to become themselves
Yeah.
as a musician, for sure. But I feel like the best band is like you're going. Well, I don't know. I mean, oftentimes you can find yourself with the band and it can grow, but that like starts at a much younger age. When you're a bit older, you've already grown enough as yourself. There's a new kind of depth that you can play with more so,
Yeah.
like passing around the genre and stuff that just you can't really do exactly the same as like a youngin because
Yeah.
you haven't
There's
played
no
with
way I
as
could play
many
this
people
music,
yet.
10 years
you
ago.
know?
Fair.
And I'm pressed further, like, into way places I've never been on the piano, or just with sounds I've never used. Like, I've never been really a great organist, but I have become a decent one through the playing of with these guys, among a bunch of other things. And I definitely couldn't do this. I've been playing music in live bands for like almost 20 years, and every single time.
God, you're old.
I know. Every single time you come at it, every time I've come at it with like my parts, I know what I'm doing. I've run through them a bunch. I could do it in my sleep, but somewhere along the way, like, I got really into the Grateful Dead, got really into Fish and jazz too, and improvisation. And I realized that, like, I just had so much more fun not leaving the song in a box and like not having it just the way that I wrote it when I was 17 or something. Like, now the song could grow with me. And so, like, for us, like, we played Doubt, like, we're gonna play it in a minute. Like, we'll probably not play it like that in 10 years. We probably won't play it like that in 5 years.
Probably not.
And so I'm excited to see how it grows.
That's something I've noticed. One of my favorite bands, and a band that I have a really strong connection with my musical path and stuff, Manchester Orchestra. Oftentimes when they're playing live, they have a new version of this song for each tour. Like, because they're
Love it.
going in this, like,
Keeps it fresh, man.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, and like
for
you can
band
tell
and
that
audience.
they're enjoying what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Like they'll do like Pride, where like at the end of they'll completely drop out the metronome and just drone super slowed down, rocking it out, and it's, whew, man,
Indeed.
Pressure.
it's incredible, man. I love Manchester Orchestra.
hell yeah.
We know.
So yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
well they may not,
they rock
but
too.
So what's the
There you go.
last song you guys are gonna play?
The other song we're gonna play is sort of, I guess, a suite of two songs that we play together without stopping, and it's one full song and then kind of one outro, sort of, and it's called "Gotta Be Brave" into Time and Place, and these songs come out of experiments too. I had traveling around on the road, busking, and exploring strange new worlds with my road dog, my wife, who became my wife, on the road.
Wait, was your road dog the wife? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Well, she
We
became
won't
my
tell you
road
that.
dog, which means she traveled with me.
Okay.
It's
She
just
wasn't
it's just a
actually a
word that
dog.
street kids use to talk about their homies. They're
got
like,
you.
They're like life partners on the road. But we got married. Not all road dogs get married.
Fair enough.
And this song, "You Gotta Be Brave," is really about how I brought my wife into this like whole weird world of like magic and like psychedelics and like all this weird stuff. And I was like, check this out, I'm a weird wizard guy. And she was like never once weird about it and never once was scared or afraid. Like every new challenge for her, every new experience, she was just up for it. And she inspired a lot of this song. It's really to her. And then it goes into Time and Place, which is simply a meditation on we are here right now in this time and place. It's stupid to try and be like, if I was then or now or whatever, or if only, different situation, if only I had a different body, if only I had a different past or history or whatever. It's like all you can do is like be here right now and do your thing, which for us is play some sick music.
And that's pretty much the spirit of the band, I'd say, right?
Yeah, pretty much sums it up.
Very wavy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I hated
The
that.
wave of that song.
Is that yours? For the week?
That's why it's stuck though. That was what we discussed. We're like, there's really a formlessness
Yeah.
to this thing, and you can't really put your thumb on it, and
But you don't have to.
exactly. And so Wavy
Just
just
ride it.
fit,
Yeah.
because
It made sense,
goes where it's
I
gonna
mean,
go.
Johnny, like I said, he ended up being the sort of magnet that we all gathered around, and the little end to his name was perfect. I think, I don't even remember who shot it out. We were just like, hey, what about Wavy? Like,
I think
It was you,
brother.
it might have been me.
Yeah.
But I
think
said,
it was
what
you.
about that? It's got simple, good. And as soon as we thought about it, I think all of us started to think like in 10 different directions about how awesome it was. We were like,
Absolutely.
we were like, oh, sound waves and water and like, just rolling with the waves of life and like, all, like feeling kind of wavy, like weird and wonky. Like to me, there's like a whole lot of things they can mean, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's just like that. Like for me, the best names I've ever had were names I was given, never things that I came up with. I don't know why, but that's just always the way it's been. And
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Amen.
So there's only one question that we ask every band that comes on the podcast.
Sure.
And it's the only segment that we have. But it is, tell us something you hate.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It could be
About the
serious.
band or
no,
just in general?
Just in
it could be
general.
something you hate, like serious or funny.
feeling stagnant.
Okay.
Yeah. Feeling like you're not growing, like you're not.
He went
Yeah.
deep.
Oh, we're being
Yeah.
deep today.
Right?
He went deep.
Son of
I
a
like
bitch.
that. It sucks to feel
with
like
the
you ain't
theme,
growing.
Listen, I fucking hate electric drum sets. There's a reason. There is a reason you don't see the biggest bands out there using these fucking electric kits. The technology is not there, and it will not be for the next 20 years. Mark my words. Go fuck yourself.
At
Thank
least
you.
in the hardware.
At least in the
tighten
hardware.
that shit up.
With a guitar, they found a way to
That felt
amplify what it was already doing.
I mean, same with the keys. At least they fucking put weights in them, for God's
Right,
sake.
right. For God's sake, until they find a way to just amplify what a drum does naturally, you can go fuck yourself. I'm not messing with it. I don't want to deal with it.
Nah, I'm with that.
That felt very personal.
Maybe. Anyways,
So we got stagnant, and then that.
Let's see. I don't want to. I guess I've already started to dig my grave on this level, but I will still continue to do so. But I hate that in general music scene in America and maybe in the West in general, as far as I know, has been overrun by EDM music. I may be an old man on this, and people can laugh at me about this, but I'm fine with, like I said, EDM music. However, it's like all of the music now is like as far as like live shows and stuff. People are surprised when they see us anywhere because they're like, "What? There's a live band, just not another DJ." And
Right.
we'll play shows, and people will see us, and then they'll see DJs come out and then leave. and because they're just tired of it too.
Yep.
But I may be an old man on this, and I have plenty of friends that are DJs, so please don't hate me, friends.
About to get us canceled.
But
It's not a hate
I
thing.
hate that there. I don't hate DJs. I hate that there isn't more bands.
There's
and
an
that all
oversaturation.
of the shows are just
That's the
full of DJs. That's what I mean.
Yeah, there's definitely an oversaturation of DJs
Yeah.
around here that are playing every opportunity they get.
That's
Yeah, all
everywhere,
of the-
brother.
And
That's not
That's
just
what I've
here.
seen. It's
Yes.
everywhere.
And
Yeah.
that would tie
Anybody can
into
turn the
what I
tables,
was
baby.
thinking is
I think
unhealthy
they're cheaper.
attachments.
I think it's just cheaper to hire like one guy to put a
Absolutely
USB
is.
in the
Absolutely
thing.
is. And it's like for me, unhealthy attachments can mean just in the sense of not knowing how to properly build a team where you're all there collectively together and not just with each other,
Right.
like
Sure
actually
enough.
there together.
I get that.
And
What do you hate, Joe?
that can be a hard thing to harness up. Whereas like it's so easy to just go out on your own, and then as well you get attached to people in music scenes and music industries and stuff that'll attach themselves to you in a parasitic way that's like literally sucking money and time and effort out of your
There are
pockets.
enough leeches out there.
And you need to learn how to maneuver those as well, especially being a musician nowadays, because it's just such a serpenty industry. You gotta know what you're signing, when you're signing it. You gotta know who you're with on a level.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm hearing middlemen is what you hate.
I mean, there's
You might
there's
have
a lot
more,
of that. Particularly yes. There's like people. I feel like people don't understand how much they can do themselves when they start to see someone else. They just imagine like that they say like, oh, I can do this for you and that for you and that for you and that for you, and I'm going to do this and that, and you start to get like excited. You're like, oh yay, I'm not alone on this finally, And it just it draws people to getting taken advantage of.
And then they eat you alive.
Yeah, it's the
Exactly.
wolf in sheep's clothing, absolutely, and that correlates to my idea of what I dislike or hate in this case. And we talked about it. We brushed on it earlier. It's the competition in the music industry.
Yeah.
I feel like, if you like to play music and you enjoy putting your emotion and your energy into it, by God, man, you shouldn't have anybody else get in the way of that, or anybody else cloud your mind with, you need to be this. This is what the bar is. You need to be this good. You need to make all this money. You need to have all these albums. You need to have all these views. It's not about that, man.
There's no first prize.
No.
Yeah, no
What do you
shit.
win? What do you win? The true essence of music is being able to connect with other people.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Being to bring your message and bring that emotion to them and have them feel that same feeling.
Sharing that. With
I mean,
them.
Team sport, baby.
absolutely, it's a team.
It's about
sport.
empathy.
No, it's about empathy. Yeah. It's about being sympathetic with other people. It's about being on the same level as them, crying with them, being happy with them. All of it. That's what music is to me, anyways.
This is my boy right
You
here.
know?
Hell yeah.
Yes, sir.
There's no I in music, man. Wait.
Yeah. I mean,
Sorry, there's no me
as
in
far as the
measure.
hate goes, what I hate is the competition and the
Yeah.
idea that music should be something that is monetized, something that is, and nowadays it's all monopoly when it comes to it.
Oh Lord.
You know, which is
The
another,
tickets,
that's
the
another thing. I can't hate
festivals,
more
the
than one
labels.
thing, so I'll leave that.
I will say, going off it's
There's
not a
enough.
competition, which I agree with what you're saying with that, but I do like a little bit of competition.
No.
Like, I like when I'm playing with bands like that I'm friends with.
Sure.
And, like,
Well, that
we go
comes
out
to
and
setting
play.
the bar for
Yeah.
getting
Yeah,
to
it
get
is.
better. Of course.
Well,
when you
and like
want-
we've had like drummers go up to James after we open up a show, and they're like, "Thanks for setting the bar so high." Or like we play a song, and they're like, "Yo, you can't go that hard, like opening. Like we have to follow you."
Yeah.
Like,
Dude,
that's like the fun part of the competition.
give you
it's
a
like
great-
step up.
There's a
Of course.
difference between
Example.
friendly competition.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
dog
Yeah.
eat
Friendly.
dog is like
Yeah.
another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a great example, right? So I went to go see Motet last Wednesday or something.
Yeah.
And a band that's called Les Special opened up for them. So Les Special is this like jam, progressive rock, metal band. They just literally, but they blew the show out of the water, and I didn't even stay to see Motet.
Nice.
But that's
Yeah.
what we're just talking about. The
Yeah.
bar
Yeah.
was set so high. They went so hard. I was like, I don't even want to listen to Motet. And Motet's from the freaking 80s, for
Right.
God's sake. They've been around, you know. And this band's only been around for the last 10 years. and
You're just
they-
like, nothing's gonna top that. I'm going home.
no, exactly. I was like, oh my God. Like, and still to this day, I'm like, shit, that was crazy, you know.
Yeah, and the special does rock. So,
They're so good.
that doesn't surprise me at all.
That's the funny thing is I always want to go hard so that people are like, well, damn, what's the next band gonna do? But I guess
Bingo.
there are some people who are like, you know what, that's good enough. I'm gonna leave while it's good.
I mean, I would like to think
satiated,
like
so-
if like that's the opener, like what's coming next? I would.
That's how I usually
That's what I would
approach
think.
it.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
That comes in picking the right band to open up for
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
If you're, you know, like
That's true.
part of it. But I mean, ultimately, I think it's like the only person you should view yourself as being in competition with is yourself yesterday. You know?
Yeah, dude.
absolutely.
And like that's, I mean, like and like friendly camaraderie
Absolutely,
with people
yeah.
around you will help push you. Absolutely, that helps boost you up even more. So it's when it's like people are like legit
Toxic and negative.
Yeah, toxic.
I know
and
that's what you
They
meant,
try to
and,
get
like,
into the
I hate that too.
the
No,
self sabotage,
that's
the
straight up what it
psychology
is.
of it.
Absolutely.
You
But,
know?
thank you for clarifying, though. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I agree 1,000%. When you have a competitive nature with
Yeah.
your peers and the people you play with and the people you...
It's good and healthy.
You know what I
fun,
hate when
and-
people don't talk into the microphone.
I know, right? I might just start talking onto this.
He's like over here.
Well, I'm not really a singer, so that's part of the reason.
That's actually not true. He's
Shut
a
up.
phenomenal singer
Oh, shit.
and a phenomenal
he's
guitar
lying.
player too.
And coming
So
up
what do you
next is
hate?
our karaoke hour.
Yeah, what do you
I was saying unhealthy attachments.
Okay.
unhealthy
Yeah, cool.
attachments. Got
Yeah,
you.
we kind of did a
With
little,
bad
a little.
people. Yeah.
But it was all thematic though. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
we usually
Yeah.
click and yes and each other. So
Absolutely.
Oh,
I will.
nice.
I'll go off of yours a little bit, and
Yeah.
I will talk about. I hate just how. I hate it. Sort of, but like how easy it is to record nowadays.
Yeah.
True
like,
that.
I've had so many people like talk to me because I've built my studio around like recording live instruments. I like putting an actual amp in the booth, miking
Yeah.
up an amplifier and capturing that sound, miking up real drums. And I've had people come in and they're just like, and I'm not talking shit on them, but you know they have their pedal board and like that's their entire sound. And then they're like they'll send me a track. They're like, yeah, I got the guitars to sound really good. And I'm like, plugged it in.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you plugged in a pedal board. Like, yeah, I
Right.
mean, like you work to get that sound, but like, I don't know, it's like plugging an electric drum set and be like, listen how good these drums sound. Like,
God, my kit sounds so good.
You're taking
Right.
away too much of the human element.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, which is why I like it. But there's nothing wrong with it. I mean,
No.
particularly in like guitar, like there's nothing wrong with it. You can plug it in,
No,
and
sounds
like,
great.
no one's gonna know the difference if it's like an actual amp versus like a pedal board or an amp sim. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just when you like use an amp sim and you're like, listen to this guitar tone that I got. Listen how good of an engineer I am. Like, you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You tweaked some things,
like, bitch,
treat
that's
the preset
preset number
that's
4.
Right.
Setting on, bro.
Yeah.
and I don't know. I feel like it takes away a little bit of like my credibility.
Hey, you went to school
Sometimes,
for it, for
like,
God's sake.
and like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like people are like, yeah, and it's not hard to record guitar really, like putting a couple mics in front of a cabinet, knowing where to put it, but like knowing that stuff and capturing that actual amp. You know, like
Yeah.
I mean, call me like an old school as
No,
well. I
there's-
like that as well.
Two baby.
No, I'm with it.
It's just a
I'm with
different
it.
thing.
Well,
Yeah.
rock music was born on a stage, played loud
Absolutely.
through amps, and if you're really like you're taking away a whole lot of what rock music is meant to be. The more you produce it in that sense of like you'd produce some sort of other album. Like
Absolutely.
if you're coming at it like you said, like dialing it in, direct. The amp is a part of the process. The amp is a part of the sound, and so I'm with you there. I definitely it's that trend that worries me because there's something electrical and kind of raw and like feedback and all this kind of stuff that is like,
Dangerous.
That is a part
There's
of
a
rock and roll.
danger in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's electric. It's hot. There's like shit going on. It's like it's like a war up there. Like we even say that. It really is. And you're completely gentrifying it and like neutering it and taking away. It's like
And
kind
it
of
sounds stale
unruly
because
nature.
everything
Yeah.
has like everybody can
Yeah.
have that same sound because
Yeah.
somebody else can buy that
What's-
pedal board or that amp sound.
exactly.
Yeah.
What's
It
the
almost
opposite of
loses the
live
emotion.
sound?
Absolutely.
What's the opposite of
Yeah.
live sound but dead sound? you know. And
Absolutely.
so
But I mean, I will argue that a lot of the it comes from the way you play it as well. So I mean, like
Without a
in
doubt.
certain
Fair,
situations, like if that is all you can do, absolutely.
Oh, please make your music even if you don't have an amp.
Do
You can
what
be
you can
limited.
do.
Yeah.
It's just like it's the people that brag about it. They're like, listen to how good this sounds.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you spent $200 and got an amp sim that is supposed to sound good.
Yeah, that's what's
automatically.
Yeah. And I mean, rock and roll is built on breaking rules. It took the Kinks
Without a
stabbing pins into a speaker that birthed a whole new, like, electrified, fuzz, distorted, punch you in the face version of rock and roll that hadn't been seen before. You know? And
Absolutely.
Once you start boxing yourself in, you become much more limited, you know, with it.
Well, then it's just a product, you know,
Yeah.
which is fine if you need to put out a product. I'm not going to, you know, shame anyone who needs to do that. But like for us, like I hope it could be both an artistic venture and a product just because I want to get paid. But
Absolutely.
But also, but there needs to be more than just a production line. There needs to be more than just like, oh, I'm building a car, I'm building a whatever. So, but you can do this. Anyone, you probably better than most people know, you could just make any song you want, any basic like pop song, any basic rock song. You could craft whichever thing you want. You don't have to like it. It's formulaic. You put the pieces here and there and whatever. Anyone can do this, and they do this.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But
They do.
like you, I forget who said it exactly, but it loses that life out of it.
That was me. Yeah.
Which I agree with, which is one of the reasons why, like I said, I built my studio around like recording live instruments.
Yeah.
I've bought mics, I've got some outboard gear, like that's where I've focused my energy on. I have a few amp sims that I only use for like demos and stuff, just because it's like, hey, like I'm trying to write this, I just want to have it, I don't want to set up things real quick, let me just plug in, do that, but I use it as a demo. For the idea later, and then I mic up amps and stuff like that, or I'll use it for like
It's a structured
business, man. And I don't know, it's what's fun. I like working with bands that like to come in and want to actually play the drums and not trigger replace everything. Which I mean, and again, all this technology is great in certain situations when you need it. Like if you don't have a great room and you're like, I can only do so much. Or I mean, like I wouldn't say I have a great room, but I make this room work.
Dude, you have a great room.
Feel like a big problem.
We appreciate you for that, man.
A big problem arises, like how does that translate then to live?
Absolutely.
And
That's
people
exactly
will be like,
it, yeah.
Good question,
this
man.
sounded great on the
Absolutely.
out. Like, this
Yes.
is totally different, and it could not even necessarily be bad live, but it's just
Different.
so different that people. I think kind of the draw and why, like, to add on to what you were saying, people want to see more live bands. At least to some degree in their subconscious.
They do. No, people tell me
you
that
want
they
to
do.
see people up there overcoming and, you know, battling with the unknown and doing, you know, the human thing. Like,
absolutely.
In that kind of, it's kind of like a hero archetype.
Yeah.
And where you're, you know, it's you wrestling with the instrument that you're playing and making beautiful sounds come out. And not so much it being all pre-programmed
Absolutely.
and played. It takes away that human element that I think people, to some degree, want to see.
Yeah, and there could be a difference between records and like live music, you know.
For sure.
And I think that's one of the big things for me specifically as someone who I love producing. Producing is so much fun. It's one of my favorite things to do, but it's not nearly as fun as playing live together, you know.
I think that's why it's been important for me that we write these songs live, that we write them and we hone them playing live in front of people, playing live, you know, at the practice space, and we didn't sit down and brain any of them out. Like we basically just like, hey, here's some chords, this is my melody. That's it. Like, you know, maybe I have this lick that I like or whatever, but we didn't sit down and be like, okay, now what are you going to do? Okay, now what are you going to do? We just threw into the shit. We were like, let's roll.
That's how a lot of our songs have
goes.
been written, though.
And it's been working because, and when we come to them and play them live, we know what we're doing in that space. And so, like, instead of having to make something in the studio and then figure out how to translate that to the live setting, we're already from the beginning trying to make sure that we are a live act that can play long shows that people, like a whole night of your life that has changed and entertained and made better. And we do that, not by like making way too many decisions in a production booth or something, and kind of, we do that just by like my favorite quote by one of my favorite quotes by Jerry Garcia is that he said, making music in a studio is like building a ship in a bottle. And he said, playing live music is like going to sea in a rowboat. And I agree with that. And it's
excellent analogy.
It is. He's a smart guy, and I love that. And I feel like I'm out to sea in a damn rowboat with these guys. And I wouldn't be in a rowboat with any other dudes. So
I can appreciate that. And I mean, going off of like people want to hear live music, I feel like musicians want to hear live instruments too.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of like comments from people who are like, how did you get that drum sound? Or like, how did you get that guitar sound? And I'm just like, I mic'd up the drum set.
Yeah.
Like it's the actual. They're like, how do those drums sound so unique? I'm like, because it's his kit.
Yeah. Like,
that he's
what pack
beat to
is
shit.
this?
Yeah.
Why are you going off again?
Oh man.
All right. Well,
The GoPro.
There is
we lost the camera again.
GoPro's
But we're
getting
wrapping up
taken.
here soon.
Yeah, I think so.
The one thing I want to say related to all that is the beauty of it is we still write songs in that same style.
Yeah.
Of just like sometimes it'll be like this is all I have, and then it'll just come
throwing it
together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
To grow. That's part of the
We have a
fun.
little more structure in the way we write because it's just the two of us, and we play with backing tracks when we play live. But I feel like even with that, we
It's
still
kind of
have
a necessity anyway.
we have
Right.
the freedom. Like we still are able to do it differently, and we have a little. There's some we play without backing tracks.
It works
And,
for what works for you guys.
Yeah, it works for us.
Absolutely.
And like, it's still just like the bass line is still like me playing bass, and is the actual like bass tone I used on the album.
Yeah.
And like we've had people come up to us being like, I heard the bass all night, but I didn't see where your bass player was. Which to me makes me feel like, all right, it doesn't sound programmed.
Yeah.
And lifeless.
Fake or
Like they're
whatever,
like,
yeah.
oh, I thought there was somebody up there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
which
good.
is,
That's positive.
yeah, that's what I liked.
Mission
The
accomplished.
proof is in the pudding,
Right?
Yeah, like if it works, it works.
Yeah, and people tell us all the time when we get there, they're like, oh, you need more. And then we play and they're like, never mind.
And we all know you can't have your pudding unless you finish your meat.
This is
Amen.
true.
So
It's very true.
I appreciate that.
absolutely, yeah.
Well, with that and the camera dying again, we will conclude this section. What was the last song we're going into?
So the first song is Doubt, and the second song is going to be You Gotta Be Brave into Time and Place.
All
Hell
right,
yeah.
and where can we find y'all on socials?
We are at Wavy the Band, WAVYTHEBAND,
Yep.
on all of your major socials.
Hell yeah.
I
Search
am
for us,
Johnny
follow
to
us.
Wavy, JONNY, number 2, WAVY, on all socials. And
That's pretty much where you can find a lot of our music, a lot of our
Yeah.
stuff. Mostly, it's
Yeah,
gonna be
the
mostly
links
on
are
those
there.
pages.
We have a whole lot of stuff coming really soon. We're basically in the process of, we were in the process of making sure that Joe was the guy, and when we realized he was the guy, making sure that we could all rock together. And now we're at the place where, partly why we're here, see how we sound in the studio. So if you follow us, Wavy the Band, we will be coming out with a whole lot of new stuff soon. So
Awesome.
Cheers.
thank y'all.
Love
Thank
you
y'all.
I appreciate you guys for having
Without
us.
further ado, here is Wavy.
Well, I've been working on a spell to tie you tight to me. And if you want the spell to work, you've gotta believe that we were made for one another, like the sun and the moon. Like you were made for me, and I was made for you. And it's gonna be brand new, know it's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. You just gotta be brave. Well, I've been working write you a song, but I want you to be honest. Would you really sing along? Cause they're waiting to be saved, some spirit out in space. We're searching for answers in psychedelic ways, and it's gonna be grand, you know. It's gonna be great, and it's gonna be awesome. You just gotta be brave. Ever since we were made, we grew good at finding loopholes, little ways to escape. We put all sorts of chemicals into our brains and run around the streets screaming blasphemous names. And it's always grand, you know. It's always great, and it's always awesome. You just gotta be brave. You're so brave. I never saw you afraid. 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 I don't think you ever were. in your